Someone had been inside my apartment for 9 hours while I was at work. They made themselves coffee, they sat at my desk, and then they left, but not before making sure I'd know they were there. I'm 29, I live alone in a 2-bedroom apartment in Hamilton, Ontario, and this happened 8 months ago on a Wednesday in November. I want to say up front that I am not an anxious person. I don't check under my bed at night or double lock my door 3 times before I feel safe. I moved into that apartment alone by choice, and I liked it that way. I'm telling you this so you understand that what I noticed that night, I noticed because it was genuinely there, not because I was looking for it. I got home from work around 7 p.m., took my shoes off at the door, put my bag down, went to the kitchen to start dinner. Normal Wednesday. I'd been at work all day. The apartment had been empty for 9 hours. I was halfway through cooking when I went to the bathroom, and I stopped in the doorway. There were wet footprints on the tile, leading from the bathtub to the door. I stood there and looked at them. My first thought was that I'd left them myself that morning, but they were wet, not damp. Wet, the way a print looks when it's been made in the last hour. And they were bigger than my feet, noticeably bigger. The kind of difference you can't explain away as a trick of the light. I told myself the upstairs unit had a plumbing issue. Water had come through somehow. I am telling you what I told myself because I want you to understand how hard the brain works to find the explanation that lets you keep standing in your own bathroom without screaming. I went back to the kitchen. I finished cooking dinner. I sat down and I ate it, which in retrospect is extraordinary to me, that I sat there and ate my entire meal with wet footprints on my bathroom floor that didn't belong to me. Then I noticed the smell coming from the second bedroom, the one I use as an office. I hadn't opened that door when I got home. No reason to. But the smell was leaking out from under it, cold, damp. The specific smell of someone who has been outside in November and then come inside. Wet wool, damp hair. The smell of a body that had been cold and was warming up. There was a person smell coming from my empty office. I picked up my phone. I picked up the cast iron pan from the stove because it was the heaviest thing I could reach. I stood outside the office door and I listened. Nothing. Just the sound of traffic from outside and my own heartbeat doing something uncomfortable in my throat. I opened the door. The room was empty. But the window, a north-facing window I never opened, with a latch stiff from years of disuse, was open about 8 inches. The curtain was moving in the cold air. The desk chair had been pulled back and turned, the way you'd turn it to stand up in a hurry. And sitting on the desk, beside my keyboard, was one of my coffee mugs from the kitchen cupboard. A mug I had not left there, had never used in that room. It was still warm. Someone had been sitting at my desk, in my locked apartment, drinking my coffee, for some portion of those 9 hours while I was at work. I called the police. They came, they documented everything, they found no one. They told me to fix the window latch and change my locks, as if a stiff latch on a second-floor window explained how someone got in, made themselves at home, and left through an 8-inch gap. The locks were changed. I moved out 30 days later. Whoever was in my apartment that day, I don't know how long they'd been doing it before that Wednesday. I don't know what they looked at, what they read, what they went through while I was gone every day. I don't know why they left the mug on the desk. That's the detail I can't stop thinking about. The mug, left in plain sight, deliberately, like they wanted me to find it. Like they were saying, I was here, I'll be back. For 2 nights, I heard something in my bedroom and told myself it was the house settling. On the 3rd night, I found out what it actually was. He had been under my bed the entire time. I'm 24, I live in Kitchener, and I want to start by saying that the thing I'm about to tell you sounds like a story parents use to scare their kids into checking under the bed. I know how it sounds. I'm telling it anyway because it is exactly what happened, and because I genuinely believe sharing it might stop it from happening to someone else. My 2 roommates were both away for the week in February. Work trips, both of them, overlapping by chance. I had the house to myself from Monday morning to Friday evening. Monday was fine. Tuesday I heard something. Not loud. I want to be precise about that, because I know the first question is always, why didn't you call someone? And the answer is that you don't call the police about a sound that might be a house settling or a pipe contracting in the cold. It was quiet and irregular, an occasional shift, like weight redistributing on hardwood very slowly and very carefully. I heard it from my bedroom. I convinced myself it was the radiator. I checked the room Tuesday night, opened the closet, looked behind the door, saw nothing under the bed because I looked at the sides and not the middle. I'm telling you that specifically because the middle is where he was. Wednesday, I heard breathing. I was in bed at 11 p.m. reading, and I heard breathing that was not mine. Slow, controlled. The breathing of someone trying to produce no sound at all, and not completely succeeding. It was directly below me. The specific flatness of sound in a small enclosed space, like the air underneath a bed. I did not move. I want to be honest. I don't know how I didn't move. Something in my body just locked. Every muscle went rigid and quiet, and I lay there with my book in my hands, staring at the ceiling, while my brain very slowly processed what I was hearing and what it meant. I reached for my phone, 1 millimeter at a time. I opened my texts, and I typed to my closer roommate. I think there is someone under my bed right now. Don't call me. Call the police and send them here. Do it now. I need you to do it now. She called the police. I lay in that bed for 11 minutes. 11 minutes of listening to someone breathe 8 inches below my mattress while I stared at the ceiling and waited and tried to sound like I was asleep. The longest 11 minutes of my life, and I have thought about them every day since. The police came. They announced themselves at the door. The breathing changed. It went fast and ragged, panic breathing. And then I felt the mattress springs shift from below as he scrambled, and my nightstand went over with a crash, and there was shouting. And then silence. They found him under the bed. 38 years old, from out of province. He had food wrappers under there. He had a knife. And when they ran the timeline based on the evidence, they established that he had been in the house since Sunday night, the night before my roommates left. 3 days. He had been under my bed for 3 days. He has been charged. The case is still before the courts, which means I am not going to say his name or the specific charges. What I will say is that the knife was not for opening packaging. I do not live in that house anymore. But here is the thing I need you to actually take from this. I heard something wrong for 2 days and explained it away. The brain does that. The brain is very good at protecting you from frightening conclusions by offering you comfortable ones. Radiators, house settling, your own imagination. Check under your bed. I don't care how old you are or how foolish it feels. Get a flashlight and check all the way to the middle, because for 2 days, I didn't. My 7-year-old daughter told me 3 times that something was wrong with her closet. 3 times, I explained it away. The 4th time, she came to my room at 2 a.m., completely calm, and said, "Mom, the closet door opened." I'm 35, I'm a single mother in Mississauga, and this happened 2 years ago when my daughter was 7. I have never posted about it anywhere because I don't want her to find it when she's older. But I also think about it constantly, and I need to put it somewhere, so here it is. My daughter started telling me her closet smelled funny in October. Kids say things. I smelled it, I didn't notice anything unusual. I told her it was probably her laundry basket that we needed to wash. She accepted that, she was 7. She mentioned it again 2 weeks later. A different smell now, she said. Not laundry, like someone who needs a shower. I laughed a little. I opened the closet and smelled it too this time. Faint, but there. Musky. I told her it might be a mouse in the walls, and I'd call the super. I didn't call the super. I made a note to do it and forgot. The 3rd week, my daughter started waking up at night. She'd come to my room and say there were sounds from the closet, breathing sounds. I went and listened. Heard nothing. Told her it was the vents, that sound traveled through vents from the apartments around us. She went back to sleep. This happened 3 nights in a row. On the 4th night, she came to my room at 2 a.m., and she was not crying or upset the way she'd been the other nights. She was completely calm. She stood at the foot of my bed, and she said, "Mom, the closet door opened." I went cold. I took her to my room, locked my door, and called the police. I did not go to the closet. I want to be clear about that. I did not go to the closet. Whatever maternal instinct says you should face the thing in your child's room, I know my limits. And I know the value of staying behind a locked door with my daughter until people with training and weapons arrived. The police found him in the closet. A dirty man. He had been living in the building for a period they could not precisely determine, accessing units through an unlocked utility corridor that ran behind a row of apartment closets. My daughter's closet backed onto this corridor. The panel at the back of the closet could be pushed inward from either side. He had made a space in the corridor. There were items there, food, a sleeping bag. My daughter had been hearing him for 3 weeks. She had been telling me for 3 weeks, and I explained it away every time. I don't have a clean ending for this. He was charged and convicted, and we moved, and my daughter is 9 now and she sleeps fine. But I don't. I replay those 3 weeks constantly. The times she told me and I said, it's the laundry, it's the vents, it's a mouse. Children are not afraid of the wrong things. That's what I want to leave you with. When a child tells you something is wrong, when they describe something specific, something that has a smell and a sound and a location, listen to them. Actually listen. My daughter knew for 3 weeks before I did. And the only reason this story ends the way it does is that she came to my room that last night instead of going to the closet to check for herself. Like, share, and subscribe.